Well, hi everyone. I'm John Rethlin with my review of WWE NXT, and this was quite the show, wasn't it? The women really stole it. I mean, honestly, Tegan Nox, Io Shirai, that match was the best between these two shows. Now, I still feel Dynamite as far as storytelling and overall flow of the show was a little bit better, but this was also one of the better NXT episodes of this year and since the whole Wednesday Night War started. But I'd love to know what you guys have to say in the comments. So as for the rest of the show, I kind of just indicated that I liked quite a bit of it. There were a few things I didn't like, and I think you can probably guess what I didn't like. Video package about Lee, and various wrestlers in NXT, congratulating him. This was some good stuff, as it is a big deal that Keith Lee is a double champion. They're doing a few too many double champions in wrestling, though, all over. They kind of need to stop that, even though I kind of get it's a big deal for Keith Lee, but obviously he's going to have to drop one of those titles at some point. So, Keith Lee is here. He's happy to hear that he's a new double champion and gets to hear it again. I forget the ring announcer's name, but she announced it with a lot of gusto. He mentions the late killer Tim Brooks, who I'm not that familiar with, but obviously he meant a lot to Keith Lee, and this was some good stuff. He seems gracious, talking about the people that he's faced, and, talks just, about the rivalries that he's had, and mentions Dominic Dijakovic and bites him out here and says, you know what? This is just as much about you as it is about me, because you've tested my limits and stuff like that, even though he is limitless. You've tested my limits. How about we have a match tonight? Dijakovic says yes. So, our first match is Damien Priest versus Cameron Grimes. And how was this? Cameron Grimes is good. He does have a different look, and I like Damien Priest. He's got a hell of a voice for promos, and he's got some great ability in the ring. Didn't really care that much about this feud, and this match didn't really do anything to change my mind. That being said, while Damien hit early, Grimes would do the wear-down maneuvers, and then eventually the power would come into play. Damien Priest would hit a clothesline, a stiff clothesline. That was rough. He just would bomb him right into the apron, the hardest part of the ring, and eventually the reckoning 1, 2, 3. So that's it right there. Don't know what Priest is going to do. Maybe he's going to go after Lee. Have no idea. We get more of Timothy Thatcher's lessons, and he mentions how he beat up Oni Lorcan, which factors into something a little bit later. Shotzy versus Indie Hartwell. I want to say really quickly, I like Shotzy Blackheart. I think her character's great. I didn't care for one particular vignette they did with her a number of months ago, but I do like her and think she has a unique style and has some good ability in the ring. Indie Hartwell has grown on me. I see why people praised her, and I think she's going to go far. She's got a certain swagger about her. Of course, Tom Phillips, they started making kind of a heel commentator because he was having sympathy for Robert Stone. So here's Robert Stone in a walking boot because of the whole tank thing, the whole bullshit last week that was dumb. And then Aaliyah. And she knocks Shotzi off the ropes while the referee's distracted. And then we get a kick from Indy, pump kick, 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, this Robert Stone Aaliyah thing is just dumb. It's dumb. I don't have a problem with managers being made to look like idiots, but Robert Stone, the former Robbie E from Impact, actually is a pretty good wrestler, and I don't know. This isn't working for me. And Tegan says tonight's her night. What's also not working for me is this Escobar, Wilde, and Mendoza trio. And that's not to say they're not talented. I appreciate they're trying to do something new. They want to, restore the legacy of Lucha Libre. Okay, cool. It was what it was. This just isn't working for me. I know it's working for other people, and that's fine. These guys are talented enough. Maybe it'll work, but just the build and the kidnapping thing. I'm sorry. I know we're weeks past that, but it was so fucking stupid. It took me out of anything else that they would do. Then we get recaps of Keith's BBC keeping down Adam Cole. Almost said Michael Cole. But nope, he's not Heidenreich. Dijakovic versus Lee. It's a double championship match, and you know what? We've seen good matches between these guys before. We've seen, big hoss fights, big men, slapping into each other and everything, phrasing. But this was no different. This was good stuff. There was no doubt that Dijakovic was not going to win, and he didn't. Because he makes the man who feasts, tells us to feast his eyes, or our eyes on him, feast on Keith's BBC. Don't know why I'm so obsessed with feasting on BBC here. Maybe it's because I tweet about it a lot on Twitter. But anyway, it's the Big Bang Catastrophe, by the way, in case you're wondering. But if they're going to label it that, I don't have to, but I'm going to make the joke. And the match is good. I mean, you just go watch this. Really enjoyable as far as the spots that they do. And respect. And then we get Scarlett showing up, just with a spotlight. And then we get the broken hourglass because Keith Lee broke that. So obviously we're getting that feud a little bit later. Because then Dietrich is talking and mentions about Karrion Kross, and then Karrion Kross just shows up and sees somebody's like, hi, and he just doesn't blink at all. He doesn't quite blink as little as Dexter Lumis, who never blinks. I don't think it's blinked since, since his last appearance on NXT. But anyway, they brawl a bit briefly, and then Karrion Kross lays him out, so we're going to get that match next week. Thatcher versus Desjardins, I forget his first name, I'm sorry. One commentary line, doing a good job writing Timothy Thatcher, and I reacted to this with the maturity and good taste that you would expect. If you believe that, you are so fucking new to this channel. But this is good, and Desjardins is a good wrestler, but he didn't get in too much. He got enough, though, where it's like, okay, he could give Timothy Thatcher a run for his money, and then single leg crab, and he gets a tap out. And then more after the match, and then here's Oney Lorcan in jeans, runs down and just fists Timothy Thatcher from behind. He doesn't do a good job of riding him, but he does a good job of fisting him from behind. I tend to think that maybe, some people might take some comments that I say out of context. That'd be really hilarious if people made a montage of that. But we're going to get that match at some point. And then Dane and Robert Stone are talking, and then Leah shows up with a painting that Dexter Lumis did, and it's various people, Keith Lee and a whole bunch, Robert Stone and Killian Dane, and Dane says to Stone, you want to make it up to me? You get a match with me and Lumis next week. And then we're getting that. We're getting Kross and Dietrich next week. Tegan Nox versus Io Shirai, NXT Women's Championship. What a match. Tegan Nox, very goddamn good. By the way, if you have a problem with her coming out as gay, fuck you, you're a fucking idiot. Let her be happy. Consenting adults, that's what matters. So, Io Shirai, though, is incredible in the ring as well. Tegan's also very good. She's come back from a couple knee injuries, and I sort of done a couple spots here, but it's like the mix of nice wrestling strikes and the high spots is really good. Io going knees first, hurling herself stupidly into the steel steps. It's a good tactic right there. Tegan looked like her equal. She hit a beautiful crossbody for two. Hit that chokeslam because she is Lady Kane. She, did some really good stuff. Did a Molly go around. Really good stuff. But Io eventually would hit a palm strike. And then the beautiful moonsault. 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to try to go into too many details about this. And this review is going to seem short and others. So you might think that I didn't like this episode. But I actually did. The problem is really it was just a work rate heavy episode with a little bit of storytelling. And, some of it I didn't really care for. The Dane, Robert Stone stuff and whatever. But Io wins. Cool. Okay, Tegan looked really good in there. That might be one of my favorite matches of the year, especially as far as women. I would actually just say just one of my favorite WWE, NXT, just all in one bubble. One of my favorite WWE matches of the year. And, Io won, and then Io celebrating, and then Dakota just blindsides her. Okay, 30-minute Iron Woman match at the next pay-per-view, at the TakeOver. 30-minute Iron Woman match. That's what you do. If you're going to have Dakota beat her, have Dakota beat her there. I love Io, and Io's held it for only just over a month right now. But if you want to give Dakota that, you want to really, strap the rocket to her and put Io up on Raw or SmackDown at some point. You could do that. But if you're going to do it right, make sure you do it right. Just have Dakota beat her in an Iron Woman match, something like that, because it gives them a lot of time. But anyway, I enjoyed this episode of NXT for the most part. There were a few things I didn't like, but again, I enjoyed Dynamite just a little bit more, but I'd love to know what you guys have to say in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.